Welcome to Can TV 21. Let's talk etiquette. Those three words mean so much to me. When I say talk about a subject, especially a subject like etiquette, it really covers the whole spectrum of our human reality, etiquette. So today, we're going to finish up with a little about what we talked about last week. And then we'll get into this table and dining etiquette. It's such a great discipline. And when we start on that, we're going to talk about table etiquette. And what does that constitute? That constitutes all other items on the table. The tablecloth, the napkins, the china, the stemware, the flatware. All of those things constitute the centerpiece, constitutes table etiquette. And so why is that such an important discipline in itself? Is because now you know how to set a table correctly. And this is universal. It doesn't matter what country you're in, if you're in New York, Dubai, London, Paris, wherever you are at, you're going to see the same setup. And you need to know table etiquette so that you know what utensils are for what purpose, how many courses are going to be served to you, what glasses are your glasses, and so on and so on and so on. So table etiquette is a very, very important part of your intellect, your social cultural discipline, your ability to communicate by having someone observe you using these utensils and how it's done with grace, and just poise. Those are such a wonderful thing to be able to have power and understanding of. And then the second part, which means we're going to go into not just next week, but another week, and that's dining etiquette. I'm really telling you, it's just such a wonderful thing to be able to do. It's like golf. It's like tennis. It's like stepping. If you can do it with grace and elegance, your swing, all of those things takes training, takes practice to do it well. And so for that reason, dining etiquette is where you want to master how to dine at the table, be it European style or American style. The difference in European style and American style has a lot to do with the way the table is set. And so when you come to the table, you know it's set European style. Or if it's set American style, you know that. And how that relates to the courses that you're going to be served. Whether salad is going to be first or soup is going to be first. Okay? So that is an important part of your ability to navigate the table and do it with such poise and grace that your colleagues, your co-workers will say, was she born with a silver spoon, or he born with a silver spoon in his mouth? Did she go to finishing school and learn how to dine at that level? That tells your co-workers, your colleagues, and your superiors that you understand this well. And so you can impress anyone, and I guarantee you they're going to take note. And so if you are representing a company and you'd want to climb that economic ladder, you're going to do it with much more ease when you understand professional comportment or table and dining etiquette. And once they know you know, then there's no question. Okay? You're not going to embarrass the company at some important meeting that you have been invited to. They're not going to be, they're going to know that you know. Because those who know, know. And it's easy to observe in 2 minutes or less that you don't know. That you're faking it. That you just think you're doing it the right way. So that's going to be part one is going to start today. But I want to just touch on last week's topic for a second. And what that involved, we were talking about the corporate assault on etiquette simply by removing the word from the general population of the media that word is not being used to describe what this is all about, because it's really all about etiquette. So I'm going to do this. I don't know if you noticed the news. Most of us do it sometimes. They had a presentation by Melania Trump, our First Lady. And she, I think it was a day or two ago, or maybe you may have watched it or not, but she came on the national news talking about her new program called Be Best. And what that focused on was our children and trying to focus on helping them be the best that they can possibly be, which is very noble and very righteous in many respects. For her to take on such a campaign like that, in spite of the gross degeneracy going on in our society today. It's very hard to teach a child these kind of qualities when they don't see it in their world, the world that they observe, which is not real. It's all pretense. It's all scripted. 99% of what you see on TV is scripted. It's written and then pronounced. So it's not reality in the sense of reality. So we live in an unreal, a reality world. So, but anyway, I want to just point this out, a few of her words that she spoke a day or two ago. But I'm going to refer to the written words that were spoken, just to point out how hard they are trying not to use the word etiquette. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the overhead. And I don't know if you can read that well. I'm going to actually take my reading glasses and put them on so that I can read it, okay? The most important social cultural education the First Lady received was etiquette. Okay? That's the first lesson she received. All of the character traits the First Lady exhibit was acquired by years of etiquette training learned in the European finishing schools. First Lady Melania Trump, she talked about, of course, her program. The White House says Be Best will promote values such as healthy living, encouragement, kindness, and respect. Those two pieces there, kindness and respect, but nothing about etiquette. It will also highlight the importance of using social media and the internet in positive ways. And it will support families and children affected by the upward crisis. Okay? So, I had to use these to be able to see. But anyway, my point is that they talked about kindness and respect, because she talked about kindness and respect. But at the same time, no mention of the word etiquette, because etiquette is involving kindness and respect. We call it here at the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois manners and morals. Manners and morals. Etiquette is about ethics. Etiquette is about doing the right thing. Etiquette is about being polite and considerate and courteous. And etiquette is about being kind. Okay? So those are pieces that she took from etiquette, but never giving credit to the discipline of etiquette, for which the entire country, the entire Western world, is governed by. And regardless of where you're at, regardless if the person is a stranger, etiquette plays a role in the interaction of the two people, myself and someone else. This is why we're able to communicate without knowing each other. There are things we would say and do that would indicate we are being governed by etiquette. But we don't think of it that way in most cases because it's part of the culture. Okay? So I wanted to point that out as to what the First Lady is about. And I want to move back to what we talked about last week in terms of looking at etiquette in another way. Because we have, the word has been removed from reality, like I talked about last week, in so many ways. But I want to try to give it a meaning that we can all kind of agree to or relate to, So I put together another little overview on the word etiquette and see if you can agree with this position that I'm taking and the foundation is taking for that word. Okay, the history of etiquette is the history of civilization. Civilization would never have come about, without etiquette. The rules governing my behavior and my fellow man woman's behavior had to be established first before we could ever consider creating a civilization. Civilized behavior, civilized, civility. Those are the components of civilization. So it essentially tells you this is an organized group of people operating under the same set of rules to live their lives by and to be productive and be a contribute to their society, to their community, to their way of life. Okay? Now I'm going to go back and look at that word another way and see what you think. The history of civilized behavior has been governed by the rules of etiquette. So now, if civilization is etiquette, that relates to being civilized and acting in accordance to civilized behavior. And of course, those rules that we all agree to adhere to are the rules of etiquette. Okay? So that kind of gives you a understanding of the relationship between these great, powerful, eternal words. Okay, civilized behavior. And just a few moments ago, the commissioner was on the air talking about the deaths in our community, and 100 people were shot in 1 month or something to that nature. And you want to know why would 100 people have to die because they don't understand what it is to be civilized. What is missing in our society today that causes us to want to kill one another? And what role does etiquette, the lack of it being taught, has impacted our community in that profound way? I wish that he could have, matter of fact, I may ask him, invite me to be on his show so I can maybe help educate his constituents on what's missing. Maybe I can help educate him on what's missing in our society today and where the focus should be if we want to eliminate that as a behavior. And when I was a young man, I haven't looked at the records, but I'm almost certain when I was in my teens, these are all crimes mostly committed by young people, I'm sure, less than 25. I'm thinking, and I may be wrong, in an entire year in Chicago, from our community, the black community, I would think no more than 100 people, maybe 150 were murdered. Now we have 800, 900, 1,000 being killed. See, so there's something wrong with the way we behave. We're not civilized any longer. And I think he was relating to being in a war zone and that kind of condition. And it's probably true. It's much like a war zone. Okay? So what do we need to be teaching? We need to be teaching our children manners and morals. If that was the center of their education, we would eliminate that problem. We would not have to spend more money, tax money, trying to arrest and incarcerate thousands and thousands of people in our prison system. That profession could be nearly eliminated because it doesn't serve us to any good, none whatsoever. Okay? Poverty and the lack of understanding how to be civilized is the two that's creating it. See? So, maybe I'll pick up the phone and give him a call and see if he's willing to give me one of the days that he's on. Because we're here, they had a political forum on right before me. And I'm sure he may return and do another show. Why don't we do that show? I'm gonna put that question to him and see if I can make that happen. Now, moving on to fine dining. So today I did not bring the utensils and crystal and all of that good stuff. I'm going to bring that next week. It seems like we have a caller. Caller, what is your question?
And Mr. Wright, and I'd like to say good evening to you.
Good evening, Steve.
Yes, it's been a little
Oh, I
while.
missed you last week.
I think about you all the time, not
Oh,
just on Wednesdays. I think about you a lot, very
oh,
much.
wonderful, 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 Steve.
Let me
I
tell you,
certainly
I
made
was
note
just
that you hadn't
listening
called.
to, I was just listening to some of the things that you're saying, and to be civilized, to be civil. I remember as a kid looking at Tarzan and things, talking about how the tribes was uncivilized and they didn't know what to do, didn't know this and that. And look, we are living in the year 2018. You tell me we have came a long ways, have we?
Right, we are.
You know
Yeah.
what?
I
It,
remember the
it,
Tarzan too myself as a kid.
yes. And the thing, what you're saying is, we not. Instead of progressing, we regressing. We just go the opposite way. And poverty, I don't think it's poverty. Even, let me tell you, homeless people sometimes says good morning.
Right. So God
Um,
bless you.
yes, anything. And we, as so-called civilized, sometimes the most heathenous things that you could ever see.
Right.
You know, it get to the point you hate to look at TV. You hate to look at the news. I mean, it seems like the norm is, what can I do better than the top, what somebody did yesterday? But again, you know, our first lady, and I hope Ray is hearing this, our first lady, Donald Duck's wife,
Yes.
she's going to have a wonderful heart to have a good job and a good time to try to correct things that we have uncorrected. I mean, one time in life we was much better. I think again
Absolutely.
we just going the opposite way. So people such as you, people such as our first lady, got a job ahead of themselves, but it can be done.
You can.
Long as certain people stay out, like her husband, keep his butt out of it,
Right.
and keep with people who really mean this from the bottom of their heart and do this, and I think it could be conquered.
It
Will it
could
be
be.
in my lifetime? I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
But I always have the hope that tomorrow's going to be better than it was today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen, you know, I'm looking at your knot. You know,
Ah,
you're not.
American.
Yeah, you're not. You're tired. You know, I was a director in a hospital
Oh,
of
okay.
administration. I worked over at Doctor's Hospital, you know, where Illinois Central was.
Yes.
And I miss those days because I used to dress like that.
Ah, okay,
Now
Steve.
I don't have to. But you continues to do this. You show people how to dress. I know you got a belt on. I
Yes.
bet you your pants is above your waist. You're a good example to young people, and not young people, old people also.
Some of us are.
You're a heck of a good guy. I don't want to take over the show because I know it could be somebody else want to call you, but again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart
Thank you, Steve.
that we have people such as you that take the time out and try to educate us and to get us right. Just keep on, because you
Thank
helped
you.
this crazy old man
Thank
out.
you. Thank you.
So I want to just get out there,
Thank you, Steve.
and I want to hear your response.
Yes.
And you have a great day, safe day, and get home safely.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that call. That's a wonderful testimony. I couldn't ask for anything better. And in fact, what I do, Steve, very few, I mean literally very, very few, have an understanding of it from an intellectual standpoint as well as from a cultural standpoint. I have studied this discipline, the history of it, European culture, all of that to get an understanding of what our ancestor created. And I'm speaking mostly from our African ancestors because the Europeans simply borrowed. We are the creators of civilization. We're the first humans to walk the planet. according to their own studies and research, anthropological research. So we really are the first ones to walk up straight and wear clothes or create clothes and tools and all of those things, including agriculture. But we don't get the credit for it, and they're wonderful at borrowing. And they borrowed a good system and gave it an interesting name. But anyway, thank you, Steve. Really appreciate that. I kind of stand alone. I feel like I'm standing alone. I know there are other great men like you out here who understand what this is all about and the impact of it not being taught has had on our community and on our society. But for a few minutes I have left, I want to get into this dining thing so that I won't disappoint my loyal listeners and viewers on what this is about. And I apologize about this diagram here. For some reason, I was looking for a nice, clear image of it, and for some reason, I could not find it. And I may have loaned it to someone and never got it back. But this is clear enough for you to be able to see the items on this table setting here. Okay? Now, I'm going to go through some of the very basics because my time is running and I need to cover at least the minimum. Okay? Now, this is a European table setting. Now, the reason you would identify it as a European table setting is because the Europeans, especially the British, favor their left hand as their main eating hand and not their right hand. Okay? So, because they favor their left hand to eat, then the forks are on the left side of the plate. And the knives and spoons, these are your support instruments right here. These are the instruments that support the left hand as your main eating hand, and this is why your forks are on this side of the plate. See, this, even that right there gives you so much insight into this discipline, because most people don't know why the forks are on the left and the knives and spoons are on the right, number one. Okay? And the next thing I want to point out to you, all of your drinking or your beverage containers are on the right. So a glass should never be in your left hand. And so many people make that mistake and see a glass sitting over here and think it's their glass and pick it up and begin to drink from it. Okay? Your setting and your drinking, cup and saucer, and your glasses are all on your right side. Okay? Only to be picked up and used with your right hand, naturally. Okay? Now, up at the top here, you see this little saucer right here. This is your bread plate. And on the saucer is your butter spreader. You never pick up your dinner knife to spread your butter because you have this little knife right here called a butter spreader, not a butter knife. Okay? Now, next, I want to just quickly go through, and let me mention this while I'm over on this side. Your napkin is always on the left, or in specific occasion, that napkin may be on the center of the plate if it's formal. If you go to a formal event, then the napkin is placed on the center of the plate. Otherwise, that napkin is always to be on the left side. So your place to remove your napkin and place it in your lap is on your left side. You never bring the napkin over to the right to put it in your lap. Okay? Now, moving on. Up here at the very top is your salad your dessert utensils. Let me get where I'm looking at the screen. Is your dessert utensils here. In this case here you see a dessert fork and a dessert spoon. Now the reason the dessert fork is facing to the right is because you're only to pick that fork up with your left hand. Now the dessert spoon at the top is facing, the head is facing to the left, is because you're only to use your right hand to pick that up. And this is why they are placed in the direction they're in. But I'm getting a signal that we should be wrapping it up. But let me go real quickly through the glasses. You got your water goblet, which is the first glass here. You got your champagne flute as the second. You got your red and your white wine glass, and of course your cup and saucer. And up here is your salt, pepper shaker, and then your salt cellar and salt spoon in this little bowl here. Okay? So that is your basic fundamentals for table etiquette. Okay? I hope everybody got that. But we'll have this repeated next week, and I have a much more clear diagram for you. But I want to put our information up here real quick so you can get in contact with us. Okay? Now, of course, you can email us at www.efoi.org, or you can email us at info@efoi.org. You can go to our webpage at www.efoi.org, or you can call us 312-473-2942. Wow, how fast time flies. Wish there was an hour, because I would be happy to sit here for an hour. But unfortunately, the 28 minutes pass very fast. So my producer out there, how much more time do I have? 1 minute? Close it out? 1 minute. Okay, thank you. It was just that easy. Just simply ask a question. They'll tell me what my timeline is. But for the next 60 seconds, I just want to reiterate, the key to solving this grand problem is you and I. I'm doing my part. You just simply need to do your part. You need to communicate to your grandchildren, your children, your friends, your family, that it's nothing wrong with buying an etiquette book and taking a half hour a day to read it and talk about it and internalize those behaviors in your way of living and your way of thinking. And if you do that, you would automatically begin to appreciate the beauty and the beauty of this discipline. It is such an enriching discipline. So you can do this. We don't have to continue with what we have. Demand it at your school. Demand they teach this. That's all you have to do. And I guarantee you, your tax dollars will count. And if you make a demand of it, they will provide what you want. That's what they're there for. So I'll close with that. Thank you very, very much for tuning me in. And I look forward to next week and another Last Talk Etiquette with Nathan Wright. Thank you very much.